I just left my home in Brooklyn, walked right past an Amazon worker delivering something to my home. Seems out of their personal vehicle. But anyway, I'm on my way to West 14th Street in Manhattan to attend a rally where New York lawmakers will introduce a bill that's supposed to protect workers from extreme heat and other weather fueled by the climate crisis. I'll see some Teamsters there. I'll see some other workers there, leaders, politicians, and we'll see what's going to happen.
Hello, my name is Teddy Ostro. Welcome to the Upsurge, a podcast about UPS, the Teamsters, and the future of the American labor movement. This podcast unpacks the unprecedented labor fight this year at UPS. In July, the contract of 350,000 UPS workers will expire. That is the largest private sector collective bargaining agreement in the United States. And if these workers strike, which is a real possibility, it will be the largest against a single company in U.S. history. You are listening to the first bonus episode of the Upsurge. As you heard in our last episode, we just set up a Patreon where you can support the show, and normally an episode like this would only be available to our patrons. You heard that right. This is a special case where everyone will get access to the bonus episode. We're doing this so you can see what you're missing if you're not an ongoing contributor to the show. You can contribute any amount of money you want if you hit the custom pledge button when you become a patron. But we do have various tiers that you can join. $5 a month is the member tier. That's just for solidarity, for general support. $10 a month, the shop steward tier, gets you the show notes or the research that goes into the episode. $20 a month, the business agent tier. That will get you the bonus content like this episode, as well as a patron shout out at the end of the show. Finally, if you're really doing us a solid, contributing $50 a month, you're in the local president tier. And you get the show notes, the bonus content, a patron shout out, and exclusive conversations with me to discuss whatever your heart desires. But more than anything, if you contribute even $1 a month, you'll be helping us make the show, improve the show, expand the show. The Upsurge takes time, work, and money. And I just want to say, one of the biggest assets of the Upsurge is our co-producer, Ruby Walsh. You haven't heard from her since our first show, but especially for the last episode on part-timers and for our upcoming episode on UPS's two-tier system, Ruby has been instrumental in tying all of those voices together into an entertaining, creative, and truly informative episode. We want to keep Ruby, and if your positive feedback has meant anything, I can safely say that you want us to keep Ruby too. Please help us help you by becoming a patron at patreon.com/upsurgepod. You can find the link in the description too. The next bonus episode will only be available to our patrons. These bonus episodes are a little bit quicker, bit more to the point, but we have some really good ones on the horizon, and you don't want to miss them. Now that said, I don't think it would be fair to keep this content from UPSers themselves. So if you are a UPS Teamster, I'm not going to make it too easy for you, but you can hit me up, you can contact me, and I will personally send you the bonus episodes. Okay. Enough of that. On to the show. On February 10th last month, New York lawmakers introduced a bill that would force employers in the state to protect workers from the dangerous working conditions caused by extreme temperatures, both cold and hot. We all remember last summer when the media caught wind of what's been happening at UPS for a long time. The unbearably hot temperatures, ever more extreme during our climate crisis, causing heat stroke and even death in package car drivers and warehouse workers. The organizing of UPSers for air conditioning in their package cars and other safety protections directly inspired this bill, which would force companies to provide things like water, air conditioning, brakes, and other provisions, including protections from cold temperatures too. I went to a rally for the bill's introduction, attended by Teamsters as well as other advocacy groups, including those for immigrant workers in sectors like construction, agriculture, and landscaping, who are especially vulnerable to our changing climate too. You'll hear from a UPS driver who suffered heat stroke last summer, Chris Cappadona, a shop steward who's organized around the issue, Matt Leichinger, and at the very end, the president of Teamsters Local 804, Vinnie Perrone. But first, here's Jessica Ramos, a state senator from Queens, and one of the lawmakers who introduced the bill.
So this is really important because particularly for the Teamsters and perhaps for other unions, this means that if we can pass this bill and make it law, it may well lead to leaving more money on the table for wages and for other benefits for workers. So I'm very excited to be here with so many organizations and unions. Teamsters Local 804 is here. Albany, Teamsters Local 294 is here. We also have with us NICE and RWDSU. And of course, NICOSH. We're talking about big companies like UPS, Amazon, Uber, Lyft, you name it. All of these companies have the ability to take care of their workers, but don't. And so today we're sending a strong message. We are taking action. We are introducing this bill. We are going to be passing this bill in the Assembly and the Senate. And hopefully it will be on Governor Hochul's desk by the end of this year for her signature.
My name's Chris Cappadona. I'm part of Local 804. I work for the UPS hub on Foster Avenue in Brooklyn. Well, everybody's here today to support the bill being passed to get air conditioning and proper temperatures in trucks, not only just for UPS drivers, but for other truck drivers across the city as well. Last summer, around one of the hottest days of the year, I went out with around 170 stops. I think it felt like 110 that day or something. And when it feels like 110 outside, it really feels about 30 degrees hotter in the truck. I felt a little bit pressured to get my work done that day because of the amount of work that I was assigned. And then about 20 stops into my day, I started to feel very lightheaded and clammy and my hands locked up. I felt like I might pass out, so I stepped out of the truck to try and get some air. Wasn't any. There were sanitation workers there, thank God, who scooped me up and put me in their air conditioning van. And it really made a big difference. Who knows what could have happened if they weren't there to help me out. And I was taken to urgent care by my brother who took me to the who sent me to the hospital. I was hospitalized with heat exhaustion. And I think UPS could be doing more to help us not end up in these situations, because I feel like if we're out there making the money, we should be getting better working conditions in return. Because, a safer and happier worker is a more productive worker, in my opinion. I feel like if this bill gets passed, it's going to be a great step forward for many of the, like I said, not even just the UPS drivers, many of the drivers across New York City, because there are people out there going to the hospital. There are people out there who are passing away from these heat conditions, like the UPS driver in California last year. He was only 24 years old. He's around my age. I can't imagine losing my life to deliver packages. So I feel like this is a big step, and not only in Albany, but I feel like stuff like this is going to help us at the bargaining table for our contract negotiations coming up.
We are typically taught in school as children that we're supposed to grow up with these great white-collar jobs, but as we grow up, we realize that that's not true for everybody. And actually, there's great dignity in blue-collar work. Unfortunately, companies across history have taken advantage of that notion and thought that they can force workers into substandard working conditions, that they'll get away with, these folks being exposed to the elements and being, especially now with algorithms, being forced to work harder and faster in inclement weather without any consequences for their behavior. And so we started to put a stop with that last year with the Warehouse Worker Protection Act, which of course demystifies the algorithm to the workers. But unfortunately,